Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. A'udhu billahi minasyaitanir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin Muhammadin sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Alhamdulillahilladzi hadana li hadha wa ma kunna linahtadiya laula an hadana Allah. We praise Allah who has guided us to this place. If not for Allah's guidance, we would not be in this place. Yeah? Now, just to recap and see whether you have read Kestas, my message on WhatsApp, right? When is the first of Dhul Hijjah?
Sunday. No, we're not sure yet.
It's definitely not on Sunday. 100% not on Sunday. Sunday is the 29th of which month is this year? This month, sorry. Which month this year?
28.
No, not the day. The Iftikar. What month is it? What do you mean? Huh? What? Which month? Zulqa'dah. Yeah, Zulqa'dah is month number 11. Right? So this Sunday, yeah, but I just want to test them. I heard you, yes. Don't worry. Right? Okay. What's the question? Yeah, so in Arabic calendar, there's only the minimum is 29 days. Agreed? Right? So this Sunday will be 29. So this Sunday cannot be the first. There's no 28 days in Arabic calendar. Correct? So this Sunday is the 29th of Zulqa'dah. So the first will either be on Monday or Tuesday. Alright? So take note of this, very, very important, especially for those of you who are doing the Qurban, you sacrifice a sheep. Right? Because assuming that tomorrow is, let's say tomorrow is the first of Zulhijjah, right? Before Maghrib today, you must not, it's the last time that you can cut your hair and your nails if you're doing the Qurban. If you're not doing Qurban, you're not obligated to do so, right? So because then it is just you need to do this for those who are sacrificing your sheep in other countries or in this country, yeah? So for 10 days until after your sheep is slaughtered, then you can cut your nails and your hair. Right? So tomorrow night before Maghrib, do whatever things you want, cut your hair and all nails and all this, and then refrain for 10 days for those who are sacrificing the sheep. Okay? Sorry? No. Worst thing, if you are going to Umrah and all this, you're doing this, biting your nails, you have to sacrifice a sheep as a penalty, right? So not just enough to say, ask Allah for forgiveness, okay? So just to revise about the 10 days of Zulhijjah, right? What is the hadith again? What is the reward if they come? No, you know everything. So. What is it?
Oh, forgiving your sins for 2 years. Previous.
No, that is fasting. Huh?
The sins for previous one.
No, the 10 days of Zulhijjah. What is the excellence of doing good deeds? Can you remember? This is your first 10 days of Zulhijjah, right? Can you remember, Gabo? Yes.
Yeah, so any deed that you do is more beloved to Allah than jihad.
Yes. Okay, so it's very important. You assess yourself, is it true? Or you do more good deeds. Agree? Read the Quran and all this. Yes.
And my local mosque also told me that it was recommended to fast for the 9 days, not just the one before Eid.
That is recommended.
So it is recommended to do that.
Right? Or if you can.
Okay.
That means you don't do it. You have to know, right? We are quite in a different category in the sense that it is the peak of summer, right? So from 2:45 in the morning till about 9:30 around there, right? It's the Maghrib time. Not everybody can do it, especially some people have not been fasting ever since Ramadan to now, isn't it true? And you do not want to create a burden to yourself. More importantly is the 9th of Zulhijjah, right? You fast on that day if you do not want to do anything. I would still fast, inshallah, on Mondays and Thursdays, which I usually do, right? I wouldn't fast every day for me personally, right? Because we just need to take it easy, inshallah. Right? If you can, alhamdulillah.
We can't have the whole 10 days.
You can, not 10, 9. Because you're not allowed to fast on when? Eid and for the next 3 days. Right? So on the 10 of Zulhijjah is the Eid, 11, 12, 13 for 4 days. You're not allowed to fast at all. Okay? So do remember this. So the hadith is very clear that any deeds that we do are more beloved than jihad, unless the person lost the wealth and the lives, then it is more beloved to Allah. Yeah, in the sense that, brothers, we are given all these opportunities by Allah to be loved by Him, isn't it true? When we are loved by Allah, surely, inshallah, we won't be going to hellfire. Agreed? Allah couldn't. It's not possible that Allah loves us and He put us in hellfire. No, right? So very important that we consolidate or to be grateful to Allah for the things that He has given us in terms of ability to be more in His good books. So we do more good deeds, inshallah, in these 10 days of Zulhijjah, starting either on Monday or Tuesday, depending which is the first day of Zulhijjah. Yeah? Yes.
On where would you recommend to find the information that is the first one?
So usually, I hate to say this, we shouldn't, but we always do follow Saudi Arabia, right? Agree? We always do, right? So either find do Islamic channel, or if you have friends, I would try to announce as soon as possible. Usually by about 4, 5 o'clock, you would know whether first Eid is on the Monday or Tuesday. Yeah? So on the Sunday afternoon, we will be announcing, inshallah, right? And usually people follow Saudi Arabia. Agree? Yes.
What's the most rewarding deed? Like with God, tasbih.
The most rewarding deed doing the Hajj, right? Obviously, because there is a Hajj month, Hajj days, right? There's no specific things that we can do, as a brother said, right? We can do fasting, right? We can read the Quran, any deed that we do, right? And always remember, right? Everybody is different, right? Everybody's journey is different. Some people are good in fasting, some people not just cannot fast, right? Brother Kestas, he was just took shahada about this one, right? Just a few weeks ago, right? Perhaps he's very strong, but perhaps he's not, because he just took shahada, right? And he may not be able to fast every day, or right? But most important thing is to protect that 9th of Zulhijjah. That means make sure you keep yourself healthy, so that 9th of Zulhijjah, which is the day of Arafat, you are able to fast, right? And the reward is day of Arafat. What is the reward? Yes.
What's the reward?
Fasting.
All your sins is like with
Not all your sins.
the past and the
How many years? 2 years. Not all sins. Minor sins. Not major sins.
How about Ramadan just passed?
Yes, minor sins.
sins.
Minor sins, not major sins. Right? Major sins are only forgiven upon 4 things. Right? We discussed before. First of all, sincere repentance. Right? Secondly, when you go to Hajj, and the Hajj is accepted by Allah. Thirdly, Kestas, Chris, right? Brian, Bilal, Gawal, who took Shahada, right? When took Shahada, all your sins are forgiven, major and minor. Fourthly, when in the time of Prophet Muhammad SallAllahu, especially during the Hijrah from Mecca to Medina, the sins are forgiven. So the rest is not, right? So for example, When I say Subhanallah wa bihamdi 100 times, what is the reward? Ibrahim? Your sins, as much as a form of the sin, right, is forgiven. Sins as much as as many as the forms of the sea are forgiven. It's a law, right? But this is only minor sins. Yeah. The same thing as when you say remember after your salah, what do you say? Subhanallah 33 times, right? Alhamdulillah 33 times. Allahu Akbar 33 times, followed by La ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika la lahul mulku wa lahul hamdu wa huwa ala kulli shay'in qadir. What is the reward? Chris.
Couldn't tell you.
Sorry?
Couldn't tell you.
You did this, right?
Say that again.
After your salah.
Yes.
After you do this, right? This one last one also. 3
Yes.
times, right? What is the reward? No.
I don't know what the reward is.
The sin, again, sins as much as the form of the sea is forgiven. But all these are minor sins. But I don't think that minor sins you don't do a lot. Sometimes we do many minor sins that it may become major sin. Brothers, if you buy the things in a Poundland shop, is it cheap? It's quite cheap, right? £1, £1. But if you buy 100 items, it become expensive.
Yes.
Of course, £100.
Yes.
Same thing as minor sin, right? You think that it's not what do you call it? You can, it's okay, it's just minor sin. No. What does a minor sin do to your heart?
Stains it.
Stains it. Stains. And then if you don't ask Allah for forgiveness, the whole heart will be
Get dark.
dark and blocked
Yeah.
Allah's guidance. Isn't it true?
Yeah.
And then you don't know how to differentiate between right or wrong.
Yes.
And this has happened to your heart if you don't take care of it. So it's a huge gift that Allah has given us in Arafah. 2 years of minor sins are forgiven. But of course, in order, we talk about to ask Allah for forgiveness, repentance, right? You need to fulfill 3 conditions we discussed many times. The first one is sincerity. Do it only for the sake of Allah. Secondly,
Don't repeat.
you don't want to repeat again. And thirdly, regret. Right? And if you do this, would Allah forgive our sins?
Yes.
Yes, He will. Because He promised us. It's part of your Tawheed As-Sama wa Sifat, the names of Allah.
Yes.
Right? In terms of Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim, At-Tawwab, yeah? And all this, Al-Ghafar, it denotes Allah's mercy and forgiveness. Agreed? Plus, in Surah number 39, verse number 53, Allah says, قُلْ يَا عِبَادِيَ الَّذِينَ أَسْرَفُوا عَلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ لَا تَقْنَطُوا مِنْ رَحْمَةِ اللَّهِ إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَغْفِرُ الذُّنُوبَ جَمِيعًا إِنَّهُ هُوَ الْغَفُورُ الرَّحِيمُ. Surah number 39, right? Azumar, yeah, turn on to your mobile phone and go to verse number 53, right? 53. When Allah informed us, say, my slaves who has transgressed against themselves, do not despair of the mercy of Allah, for Allah forgives all sins. He is indeed of the often forgiving, the most merciful. So Allah forgives all sins. Would Allah lie to us?
No.
No.
Never.
Right? But provided, of course, we have met all the criteria, the 3 criteria. But of course, these are the sins between us and Allah. If I have borrowed money from Iftikar, from Kestas, then I need to return the money. Isn't it true?
Yes.
I cannot just ask Allah for forgiveness.
Yes.
If I have said bad things against Arbi, against Chris, against Ibrahim,
Yes.
I need either to say good things. I did not. Never say bad things about him.
Yes.
Chris, you look very suspicious, you know.
It's true.
No, your eyes. I can see. Alhamdulillah, I didn't know. So if I happen to do so, you did, right? If I say something bad against you, then either I ask for your forgiveness, which I always say all the time, right? Forgive me if I did anything wrong,
Yes.
or next time I just say good things about you. As simple as that. Sorry, brother, you got a question?
I lost my.
Oh, alhamdulillah. Forgot. That's my trick, you know. Because alhamdulillah.
You said
Yes.
sin blocks you from guidance. It blocks you, right? You said.
the sins, your heart becomes blackened, and that's why guidance doesn't come to you in general.
Major sin,
Right.
minor sin.
Both,
Both.
major minor sins. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Now, so quickly, because we did this before, right? So the 10 days of Zulhijjah, we should do as many good deeds as possible. Isn't it true?
Yes.
Right. First 10 days. So we can do the qurbani, right? You do it after your Eid, inshallah. You can, we should do this thing called takbir. There's two kinds of takbir. One is called takbir, what? Al-mutlaq, which means at all times you do it. What is takbir al-mutlaq? At all times. That means, let's say tomorrow is 1st of Zulhijjah. Tonight after Maghrib is the 1st of Zulhijjah. Isn't it true?
Yes, yes.
Right? So at all times you say Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, walillahil hamd. Right? Allah is the greatest, and none has the right to worship, none has the right to worship but Allah. And walillahil hamd means all praise belongs to Him.
All praise belongs to Allah.
Right? So you glorify Allah as many times as possible. Right? This is the first 10 days of Zulhijjah. It's called Takbir al-Mutlaq. Yeah? And on there's another takbir called Takbir al-Muqayyad. What does it mean, Iftikhar?
It's not like you're specific timings.
Specific, after obligatory prayers. So let's say tomorrow is 9th of Zulhijjah. It's the first time it starts, right? After Fajr, all the way until 13th of Zulhijjah, right? Asar is the last prayer that you do on the 13th of Zulhijjah, right? So for 5 days, right? Only after obligatory prayers, and then you do it. You can see in the mosque, this mosque, any mosque that any people who follow the Sunnah, the mosque would do it. Even Asian mosques, right? They would do it, right? Follow this Sunnah, right? To say Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, walillahil hamd. This is Takbir al-Muqayyad, which is specific to the time of after obligatory prayers. Yeah? So these are the things that you should do, right? The main things, the major things, read the Quran more, right? Spend more time doing dhikr, less time on TikTok, correct? Less time on social media, all right? Okay, Stas? More time to remember Allah, to donate, right? Our group, I'm going to announce into the group, inshallah. We are helping to buy a second-hand bus to transport the orphans and the children to the madrasa in Indonesia, right? Because without the transport, they cannot go. The house is very far away. So we're raising money to buy the second-hand bus. So if you want, again, I announce it to the group, you just donate this money, inshallah. It's part because do a lot of donations in the 10 days of Zulhijjah, inshallah, right? And the money will be transferred to Indonesia, inshallah. Yeah? Any questions? Yes.
You mentioned there were 4 conditions, one of them being hijrah,
Yes.
or I think it was major sin forgiveness.
Yes.
Is that sort of an equivalent in today's day?
No. Because in today's world, you don't sacrifice much. In those days of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, they sacrificed their families, and real sacrifice, right? From they escape from persecution, they sacrifice even their wives, their children, in order to be able to practice Islam in Medina. Today's world, it's difficult to justify because going to Albania to Hijrah, right? And people are selling drugs there a lot, cocaine, right? I'm not lying, right? I know it's not the news. I'm a solicitor, right? It is, right? The the gangs are all in Albania, right? When do you want to go? Bangladesh, right? Not really, because at least, hopefully, inshallah, in the future, some of these countries will implement the Sharia law. Then perhaps you can move for the hijrah, right? Compared to the LGBT things you're facing in this country, quite a lot of fitna in this country, isn't it true? Nowadays, right? So perhaps in the future, I don't think in my lifetime I die, then perhaps You know, there might be an opportunity to go to a country that really practice the Sharia law. Sharia is not just about stoning and cutting horses. No, that's part of just very small part of the hudud law, right? Sharia is everything. Being good to the parents, being good to your neighbors, and all this part of Sharia law, isn't it true? Right? So don't be scared because the Westerners and the secular people are always trying to scare you with Sharia law, isn't it true? Sharia law is from who? From Allah, isn't it true? Right? How can Allah's law be inferior compared to your Western law, right? So do make dua that Allah will allow some of these countries to implement the Sharia law. Yeah. Now, so let's go to today's topic, which is the last sermon of Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Have you read this before, Ibrahim? The last sermon of Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Have you? The last sermon, not the last saying. Sermon.
Sorry.
Right?
Can you remind me?
Have you read this before? Just asking. Have you read this before? Arbi, have you done it before?
Maybe.
I think so.
Atika?
Maybe I'll read
The
it.
last sermon is very important, right? So all of us should remember, right? Have you done it, Chris? Have you read this?
Yeah, I remember roughly.
So you have come across it before?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
But
Right?
is it from the verses 2:8?
No, it's not.
Nice.
This was happened during his Hajj in the field of Arafah on the 9th of Zulhijjah, the 10th year after Hijrah, right? So he knew that that is his last time he's going to address to the Muslim Ummah then. So this is very, very important because many Westerners think that, Muslims don't take care of the wives and all this. Completely not what he said, right? A lot of, as you know, in some of the cultures, they abuse the woman, isn't it true? Right? And hate to say this, many of them are from the so-called Muslim cultures, or so-called to call them Muslims, and they abuse the wives and all this, thinking that the women are second-class citizens. It's not, right? The woman has been entrusted to you and me as wives, inshallah, in order for us to take care of them, isn't it true?
Yeah.
Not to treat them like animals and just to like some slaves. No, it's not, right? But it's just sadly in some people, they abuse their power as men, and people get abused on many occasions. And even one of my neighbors said what things happens in Bangladesh and all this. When you're married to somebody, in general, the woman will stay with the husband's family, and there you are treated like slaves, right? In some of the cultures or some families in Bangladesh, right? So I'm sure it's not isolated to this country, in many countries. So all this, we are going to talk about it just right now, inshallah, and we're going to also analyze what he said and in the context of today's world in 2023, inshallah, right? So let's listen to this because this is an amanah. Amanah means?
When someone passes away, it's like the last few words.
Yeah, so amanah that has been passed by Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam to you and me in order to pass down to our children, our friends, our family members. So for all of us to note what exactly did he leave as an inheritance to us. Inheritance can be in the form of money, but can be in the form of wisdom, isn't it true?
Yes.
For all of us to inshallah to implement, right? He said, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Taraktu fiku amrayni lan tadillu mas tamassaktum bihima kitabillahi wa sunnati nabi. I'm leaving you two things. You will never be led astray if you cling on to them. This is the book of Allah and my sunnah, my way. If you hold on to this strongly, not according to the ways of Singaporeans, Malaysians, Bangladesh, Albanians, right? But to the ways of the true messages of Prophet Muhammad SAW and the Quran, we will never be led astray, surely, right? And it's very important for us to really take note what happened, right? What did he say, right? So this sermon was delivered on the 9th of Zulhijjah, 10th year after Hijrah, in the Uranah Valley of Mount Arafah in Mecca. It was the occasion of annual rites of Hajj. It is also known as farewell pilgrimage. I can't imagine, right? If all of us were to live in the time of Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and our beloved were to leave us, I can't imagine how they feel. Can you imagine? When you read the Sirah of Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, did you cry? Right? Have you read the Sirah?
I've not read it, but I'm watching the video of Yusha Evans. He spoke about, I think, the last the final moments of Prophet
Sallallahu Alaihi. Yes.
And after the video finished, I was in my room. I don't know what happened, but I just started crying.
Yeah, it's like your own family members are leaving you. Even today, when I was preparing this, right, I was like, oh my God, I was in tears because you're talking. How should we love the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam? We should love him more than more than you love yourself. More than you love yourself. Who said what? What happened? Umar bin Khattab. Radhiyallahu anhu. What did he say? O Messenger of Allah, I love you more than anybody else except myself. And Prophet Muhammad said, no, Umar, you will never attain true faith until you love me more than you love yourself. Then Umar ibn Khattab he said, Ya Rasulullah, now I love you more than anyone else, including myself. Then yes, Umar, you have achieved it. It is quite important because this is the man, subhanallah. Without him, of course, without Allah and his sacrifice, I wouldn't be talking to you like this, isn't it true? Sure. There won't be an opportunity for you and I to enter paradise because we don't know what to do. He sacrificed so much, yeah. And even the non-Muslim came up with this list of 1,001 what most influential person, isn't it true? And then who was number one? Our beloved Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And he was a non-Muslim author, and he came because of one person. He was able to change everything in the world. Always remember, even in those days, even the Romans and the Persian empires, they can't be bothered to even invade Saudi Arabia, wasn't it true? Saudi Arabia wasn't in their territory. Why? Because it was just a desert, nothing, just Bedouins living there. So how can they affect the Roman empires and the Persian empires, right? But Allah has His own plans, and Islam grew from this relatively uninhabited place called Mecca, right? How did it started? How did Mecca started first to be inhabited? The story of Ibrahim and
Ishmael. Yeah, the Zamzam water.
Yes, and Hajjah and Ismail, isn't it true? Right? And that is how it first started. According to many narrators, the foundation of Kaaba has already been there with the previous prophets. They know what it is. Because you cannot just prop up just like that, isn't it true?
Before Ibrahim.
Yes. Right? According to some narrators, it's there already. Yeah. Even when you were to draw, let's say this is the Kaaba, right? All the way to the skies, there is a place above the seven heavens called Baitul Ma'mur. What is that place? It's a place where every day 70,000 angels would circumambulate, do the tawaf around their own place of Kaaba, and they would come out and they would never return again. Right? And this is for the 70,000 angels, right, who will come and circumambulate. So it has always been there, the center of the Ummah.
We've got a full house today.
Alhamdulillah.
We got you a present.
Alhamdulillah. Jazakallah khair. Oh, Jazakallah khair. Thank you. Let me do the before it gets. Okay, so we were talking about why the start of the civilization or the inhabitants of Mecca, right? How it all started. So it has already been established that that is the place to be, right? Where all of us are turning to Kaaba in our prayer today, 2023. Yep. And what was the story, Chris, about the Ibrahim and Hajar and Ismail?
When when they
Yeah. So what happened? Sorry?
She was
Yeah. What happened in the beginning?
So
she was going between the two mountains.
Yeah. But before that, what happened?
so Allah told Ibrahim to leave the city.
Mm-hmm.
So he told her then
To settle in this place.
yeah.
In the middle of nowhere, Chris, nothing at all. There's no trees, nothing at all, right? And then what happened, Osama?
So when he left her and her child, she was looking for water.
No, before that, don't look for the water too fast. When Ibrahim left, because she didn't understand, why are you leaving me and my child and your child in the middle of nowhere? And she kept on asking him, and he didn't answer. And then she said, Hajar was asking, is it because of Allah? Did Allah ask you to leave us here? And then he said, yes. And she said, if Allah asks you to leave us here, then I trust Allah. And it's quite important thing, right, brothers? When Allah has left us with different commands to do or things, prohibitions not to do, we should trust Allah, isn't it true?
Yes.
Allah would never do things that is not in our favor. It may be perceived that it's not in our favor because of influence of our cultures and all this, but it's always in our favor why we are not allowed to eat pork. How can you eat an animal that eats his own feces? How can it be? It's horrible. Did you eat, Yusuf, did you eat pork last time? Did you eat pork last time?
I took my shahada, so I don't need to.
I just want to put it in limelight, right? I mean, did you ever think about it, Chris, before we took Shahada?
How about the people who
Sorry?
How about the people who trap people to eat?
Trapped, I mean trapped.
Trap, like, oh yeah, don't worry, there's no fork.
No,
Can you imagine that?
that's different, right? I'm just talking about people who are eating pork deliberately, right?
Oh,
Did you ever think before that there is something about pigs that is harmful to our body?
No.
Okay, Brian?
Yeah, but just like how they live and stuff like that.
Yes,
And
right.
Because it's like you hear like things about there's like maggots and all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
in the meat and
yeah.
stuff like that.
It's quite disgusting, isn't it true, right? And this is how none of us understand this when it was first revealed, of course. There's no scientific evidence and all this, but Allah when come up with a ruling is always in our favor. Alcohol, right? Nobody knows that it causes all these problems before, right? Now it has all these social problems. Even the UK also admitting, right, about the youth and all this drinking alcohol. If you go to your schools, right? I mean, I went to law school. Everybody was in the pubs and all this, right? Where can I find them? Every time it's always in the pubs. And subhanAllah, it's very difficult to understand how these people can lead their lives, you know, Thursdays, Fridays, and sometimes Mondays, all going to the pubs at all times. Irish is worse, isn't it true? They drink all the time. And there's a reason why even for the alcohol is one of the worst punishments, in the sense that if you drink alcohol, then your dua will not be answered for 40 days. It's one of the worst.
Even if your prayer will not be accepted for 40 days.
Yes, because prayer is form of dua, isn't it true? When you do your salah, you're asking for guidance, right? So surely you won't be accepted. Yeah. The reason says.
So if someone drinks alcohol, his prayer will not be accepted for 40 days.
Yes.
Shall he pray or?
He must pray, because if he doesn't pray, it's worse, right? Because then he would have committed an act of one of the worst sins is to miss the prayer. Similar as kufr, isn't it true? Right? If you leave the prayer, so he must pray, but with regret, and of course, eventually, hopefully, after that, Allah will accept all his deeds, right? Because when this is sometimes you don't understand with the sisters. Sisters, when they have their menstruations and they're not praying for 5-6 days, it's quite difficult, to get back into the rhythm of praying, right? Because they lost that connection with Allah. The prayer is our connection with Allah. Agreed? That we have this connection with Allah because if we want to talk to Allah, we pray. If we want Allah to talk to us, what do? Read the Quran. Yeah, and that connection is very important. Sometimes when we commit certain form of sins, we feel that Allah is so far away. Agreed? Right? That it's difficult to reconnect again. Right? And all of us are committing sins in one way or another in our lives. And this is how the prayer brings us together with Allah again. And I can safely say for myself, for example, right? And I know some people was asking me questions about their sins and this, and I always advise, whatever you do, never miss your prayers. Even though you have to force yourself, perhaps even you cannot even focus on your salah, just do it. Yes. Eventually, inshallah, your heart will be in sync with Allah, and Allah will answer your dua. Yes. Right? Yes. And in my times of, for example, when I was small, alhamdulillah, I've never missed my prayers. So even though when I was in university, I was the president of the Students' Union, I was president of the Dental Society, I was doing everything. It doesn't lead me astray. Basically, alhamdulillah, because of my salah. Never miss the prayer. No matter how difficult it is, you don't miss your prayers ever. Yeah? Now, so let's continue, inshallah, right? Let's continue with that story because to complete the picture. So when Hajar was left with Ismail, what happened after that? Yeah, so they were given nothing, isn't it true? Yes. There was no food and all this, just the dates and some water.
And they become thirsty.
Yes, and then she traveled for 7 times between 2 mountains for Safa and Marwa. Yeah. And eventually, many narrations, the water came out, right? Zamzam. Yeah. Some narrations said, but the angel Jibril was there, the wings was on the ground, and Zamzam came out. And Hajar dig a very big hole in order to contain the water. How you?
Can I talk to you after I ask for 5 minutes?
Later after Asana, inshallah. Yeah. Okay, so this is important that we understand this history. Then after that, what happened? How did the people come? Assalamualaikum. Afghans, so late. Oh, just go ahead. Okay. So how did the people come about to go around to live in the Kaaba area? So water is found. So how did the people live around the Kaaba area? What happened?
Wasn't like some tribes came, they traveled to Mecca. I think they.
So whenever there is water, there will always be birds.
Birds, yeah.
Right? And the tribes who were the Bedouin tribes, right? The Jurhum, I think was the name of the tribe, right? Yeah. And they saw these birds. Yeah. They came because when there's birds, there's water. When there's water, there's a source of living, inshallah. Yeah. And then they can work and live around the area. Yeah. And then they asked for permission from Hajar to stay there. And eventually she said, yes, you can live around us, but the Zamzam belongs to me. Right? And it's quite important to control the water because human beings are very greedy, right? And the water belongs to the Hajar, and that's how the whole population increased until today, right? There is all the Hilton hotels and all the 5-star hotels. Tawheed, that's the ultimate. Okay, so that's how it all began, right? So in terms of the message, I'm going to start now, right? After praising and thanking Allah, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ began with the words, and listen to this carefully. O people, Lend me an attentive ear, for I know not whether after this year I shall ever be amongst you again. Therefore listen carefully to what I'm saying and take these words to those who could not be present here today. O people, as you regard this month, this day, this city as sacred, so regard the life and property of every Muslim as sacred trust. Return the goods entrusted to you to their rightful owners. Hurt no one so that no one may hurt you. Remember that you will indeed meet your Lord and that he will indeed reckon your deeds. Allah has forbidden you to take usury, that means riba. Therefore, all interest obligation shall henceforth be waived. Your capital is yours to keep. You shall neither inflict nor suffer any inequality. Allah has judged that there shall be no interest and that all interest due to Abbas ibn al-Muttalib be waived. Every right arising out of homicide in pre-Islamic days is henceforth waived, and the first such right that I have waived is that arising from the murder of Rabi'ah ibn al-Harithiyah. O man, the unbelievers indulge in tampering with the calendar in order to make permissible that which Allah forbade and to prohibit what Allah has made permissible. With Allah, the months are 12 in numbers, 4 of them are holy. There are successive and one occurs singly between the month Jumada and Sha'ban. Beware of shaitan for the safety of your religion. He has lost all hope that he will be able to lead you astray in big things. So beware of following him in small things. Remember we talked about the minor sins, but don't think that it's not important, right? O people, it is true that you have certain rights with regard to your women, but they have also a right over you. Remember that you have taken them as your wives only under Allah's trust and with his permission. If they abide by your right, then to them belongs the right to be fed and clothed in kindness. Do treat your women well and be kind to them, for they are your partners and committed helpers. And it is your right that they do not make friends with anyone of whom you do not approve, as well as to be unchaste. O people, listen to me in earnest, worship Allah, say your daily prayers, 5 daily prayers, fast during the month of Ramadan, and give your wealth in zakat, perform hajj if you can afford it. All mankind is from Adam and Eve. An Arab has no superiority over a non-Arab, nor a non-Arab has a superiority over an Arab. Also, a white has no superiority over a black, nor a black has any superiority over a white, except by piety, that means taqwa, and good action. Learn that every Muslim is a brother of every Muslim, and that the Muslims constitute one brotherhood. Nothing shall be legitimate to a Muslim which belongs to a fellow Muslim unless it was given freely and willingly. Do not therefore do injustice to yourselves. Remember, one day you will meet Allah and answer your deeds. So beware, do not astray from the path of righteousness after I'm gone. O people, no prophet or apostle will come after me, and no new faith will be born. Reason well, therefore, O people, and understand words that I convey to you. I leave behind me 2 things, the Quran and the Sunnah. And if you follow this, you will never go astray. All those who listen to me shall pass on my words to others, and those to others again. And may the last ones understand my words better than those who listen to me directly. O Allah, be my witness that I have conveyed your message to your people. It's amazing, it's intro, right? Yes. So what I'm doing now, I'm passing the message to you. It's as amanah, as a teacher, to pass to the students, and you have to pass this message to your own family. And it's very important that we understand this message very clearly, right? And as part of the sermon, the Prophet ﷺ recited a revelation from Allah. What is the revelation after this? Osama? What was revealed after this?
إذا جاء نصر الله والفتح.
Now, ya al-yawma akmaltu lakum dinakum wa atmamtu alaikum ni'mati wa raditu lakum Islam madina. This day I have perfected a religion for you. I've completed my favors upon you. I've chosen Islam as your way of life. This is surah number 5, verse number 3. Right? 5, verse number 3. And just to complete the hadith, the sermon was repeated sentence by Safwan, brother of Rabi'ah radhiyallahu anhu, who had a powerful voice at the request of the Prophet, and he faithfully proclaimed to over 10,000 gathered on the occasion. Towards the end of the sermon, the Prophet asked, "O people, have I faithfully delivered unto you my message?" A powerful murmur of assent, "O Allah, yes," arose from thousands of pilgrims, and the vibrant words Allahumma na'am wrote, that means, "O Allah, yes." Right? That means that is the what they call it, amana or trust that Allah has put into Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam to pass to the people in those days about this whole message that I just recited just now. Right? The Prophet then raised his forefinger and said, "O Allah, bear witness that I have conveyed your message to your people." Okay, very interesting. I mean, it's very moving. Every time I read this, I will cry, because this was the last message of Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam to the people. What was his first message to the people in Medina? Spread salam. Secondly, what was the message of Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam to the people in Medina? First message. So last message. First message, spread salam. Feed the poor. Right? Thirdly, no, including the feed the poor. All right? No, or some of you are confused with the rights of the Muslims. These are the first sermon in Medina. Right? So spread salam, feed the people. Gawo. Pray when others are sleeping. What is this? Tahajjud. Are we doing tahajjud? Some people even are struggling waking up for Fajr, isn't it true?
Just stay awake.
You do?
Like, might as well like 2-3 hours.
You did?
I'm saying that you might as well.
Or do you do?
Sometimes.
And did you do tahajjud?
No.
It is difficult, but this is the message. Right? Why is tahajjud so that? Why of all the prayers he mentioned about tahajjud? Yes.
Is it good? Is everything inside the
Tahajjud and witr are two prayers. Yes.
If you do witr.
Yes. It's included as you have done the night prayer. Yes, of course. Yeah. But why tahajjud is important was mentioned specifically.
Because it's close to Allah.
Sorry?
Last third of the night, you're close to Allah.
Yes. Yeah. But of course, right? We know Abu Bakr radhiyallahu anhu, he also did after Isha prayer, and he was also commended by Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam as being cautious is good. Yeah. Yes.
So the question is, why are we doing tashahhud Hussein?
Tahajjud or tashahhud. Yes.
Because there's a time when Allah comes to the earth, like a big stream.
Last third of the night. The last third of the night. As the Buddha said, yes. Allah is at the first heaven, isn't it true? Or first sky to be more accurate, right? What did Allah say to us? Sorry, almost there. What is it? What did you said something?
No.
Allah would say to us every night, "Where among my servants who want me to ask for anything, I will grant him." So almost you say, right? Yeah. Where among my servants who ask for my forgiveness, I'll forgive him. Brothers, but where are we usually?
No.
Isn't it true? Right? And Allah is waiting for us every night. Every night Allah is waiting for us. Right? It is difficult, of course, even for myself. Right? Raise up my hands. Right? It's difficult. But sometimes you just have to try. Because this was the first message of Prophet ﷺ to the Medina people, right? So how do you ensure that you are waking up for night prayer? Besides not sleeping, but because a lot of scholars say you should sleep first. Agreed? right? Because that shows how special you are. Because Allah invites you. Yes.
Intention.
Sorry?
Intention.
Intention first, yes.
Intention.
Praying with wudu, the three callers,
Yeah, so before you sleep,
Early.
take your wudu first. And then, sorry?
It's hard.
Yeah, but you have to do it, isn't it true? Why wudu? Why wudu is important?
You do your wudu, you
What are you gonna do?
That's you, right?
No,
No, I'm not recording.
need to climb it.
I know, but that's beside first, right? Do your wudu first, and after that,
Once it's okay, once you like make wudu, and then it's done. What happens in the bed and
Brother, you
yeah, what happens
eggs before you eat.
no, what happens in the bed is it happens in the bed, right? But yeah, but you do your wudu first, right?
you worry for the
Yes.
intention.
You eat, you do your wudu, right?
Hold on, why do you eat before you sleep?
Why not?
You should.
I don't have like long day. I don't have any coins on me to buy something else. I have my last two spot of a.
Yeah, but it's not good,
Friends
isn't
at
it?
home. Carrying water.
But it's not good,
You
isn't
want
it
to
true?
go to the neighborhood. Can I have some fish, please?
No, in the sense that you should try to eat quite early, isn't it true? About 8, 9 o'clock.
Sometimes you be like a slave. Sometimes.
Well, I'm just telling you.
We're walking hard sometimes. Sometimes
Yes.
we don't walk. Sometimes we walk.
But we should eat early because that creates a lot of unhealthiness in your body, right? Anyway, so what is the reward if you do wudu and recite Ayatul Kursi? Yeah, the angels one angel will be assigned to you. So no wudu, no angel. This is the hadith. I'm just telling you about the hadith, right?
Something natural. You sleeping out.
I know, but do it. Whatever happens, happens, right? Just do it with good intention. That's all to help you.
No, after a year, of course,
Right.
like, not protected properly, like when, but Allah
Yeah.
still have His mercy and His knowledge that He protect us, even in mystery.
It is, but if you look at the hadith, how a person who does wudu and after that do the kursi, you has an angel to protect you. You would want to do your wudu, whatever the outcome is, isn't it true? You agree? So, for example, when you go to the mosque, you do your wudu at home or you do in the mosque?
No, it should be at home.
Why?
Because you
At the walk, every walk, you should have wudu, isn't it true?
Wudu.
So same thing as when you sleep, same thing, because the hadith is attached to wudu, you're in purified state. Yeah. In fact, we know from another hadith, Prophet SallAllahu said about that only believers are able to maintain the wudu at all times. So even for me, when I, let's say, went to the office in the morning and I pass wind at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock, immediately I just do wudu and come out again. Yes. Yes.
You have to wudu, and let's say the Prophet gives you £50.
Yes.
You're going to make it back in the wudu again.
No, for what?
Why?
Why?
Why not?
Because there must be a hadith when our wudu is nullified. It's not about money. It's not about money.
No,
What-
it's not about money.
When is your wudu nullified?
Oh, when, okay, you guys,
Toilet,
toilet, and
deep
blood-
sleep,
blood, deep
Deep
sleep.
You
Yeah.
eat the camel meat.
camel's meat. Yes, camel's meat. This hadith.
What is it?
Yes, the camel's meat. Do you eat camel?
In French.
Hold on. Do you eat camel?
Camel.
Yeah.
In chameau.
Uh,
Yeah, camel.
Yeah. Then your wudu will be broken when you eat the camel meat in the hadith, right? Yeah.
I eat lamb.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, so these are the things. Okay, not when you say you fast.
No,
some
because
person-
sometimes people make wudu again when they touch money, for example.
No, that's not. That's completely wrong. It's not in any
That's a
hadith.
woman, maybe, not money.
Even touch a woman is not.
But there's
No, there is only in some Shafi'i madhab, yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Not in
that's-
other madhab. Majority, no. Right? So don't worry. Right? Only when we cannot do anything according to what you think it is. Agreed? Ibrahim? There must be a hadith. Must. That's why Islam was completed then. Right? When the verse was revealed. So don't listen to anybody else. Look at the hadith. How your wudu is broken, not because of money. 100% not. Yeah.
I think there's even a hadith that says that Allah doesn't like us wasting our time, and redoing wudu when we don't have to apparently is something He doesn't like. Is it?
No.
They talked about this at the local mosque. It was one of the sermons at the Jummah.
Yeah, no.
They said this.
In fact, there is a hadith from Prophet said that if I were to be more strict, I would make sure that people do wudu before every prayer. Actually, it's not a hadith, right? So Allah knows best. Yes.
I know.
Hold on, we're talking about last sermon. Why are you talking about wudu now?
I don't stop this topic.
Okay.
I'm saying,
Arabic, yes.
this topic.
Yes, come on, last one.
So my cousin, I know we've spoken about this one, but my cousin once told me that it's like if you brush past, like if you're in contact with a dog, like if you touch a dog, that breaks it with the dog. But then I asked you about it, and you said that's not true.
No, that's not true.
If there's saliva touches you, do you have to make wudu, or do you have to like remove the clothing? What's the?
You need to wash it. This is like a najis, like an impurity.
You do like the proper wash with like dirt, or do you just like?
Okay, this different scholar. Hold on, this different scholarly opinions about saliva, right? According to this hadith, it's only when the dog licks a bowl, then the bowl need to wash 7 times, and I think the last one person with sand. Is it true? The hadith specifically mentions about the bowl, not about touching your thing. So again, different opinions. I know some scholars said that if the dog were to lick your hand, just wash it with water, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, but you should do because it's najis. It's just like when your nephew pee on you, right? So you don't just pray. You need to, because it's najis. It may affect yours. It doesn't invalidate, but it may affect your prayer.
And
Okay.
bleeding, just because I remember, like if you like cut, you get a cut.
In general, no. Except when it's excessive bleeding, some scholars say yes, you should take do your wudu.
Okay.
Yes.
How about the clothes? You don't use the clothes.
Sorry?
The dog.
The dog?
Yeah, use the clothes.
Touch or click?
I mean, like, you walk or you're going somewhere to see a friend or something.
No, touch or lick.
God.
Does the dog touch?
It's a lot different.
See the dog, come next to you, the dog sometimes there is like, example, pitbull. Pitbull doesn't like to lick. No, they come like.
Yeah, no.
Well, what you should do, and after I have to go to pray.
It's just, you just need to clean it, that's all. Clean the butt.
Like that?
Yeah, so
Or make a wudu and.
you need to do
like,
wudu. Yeah, just clean it with the butt. But the best thing, of course, don't try not to touch dogs, isn't it true? That's the best, right? Dogs is worse. Dogs are worse than pigs. Dogs are worse than pigs in terms of making your wudu, or you need to wash and all this. Pigs is just about the eating, isn't it true? Not about anything else. Agreed? Right? But dogs is very different, especially wet dogs. Some scholars say what dogs is wet, Anyway, let's not talk about it. Come back to the topic, inshallah, right? So, this last sermon, first of all, it talks about trust and accountability. Brothers, in all honesty, this is where most of us will face problems in the day of judgment. Accountability. Especially when it deals with other people, in terms of backbiting, in terms of taking other people's things, in terms of other people's rights has been infringed. This happens, this makes a lot of us will face problems against that our sins are still not removed. If you are not praying, it's between me and Allah, isn't it true? Yeah. So Allah will forgive us with His will. But if it's not about fasting and anything, it's all between me and Allah. But if it's against others, do be careful, right? So don't hurt other brothers and all this. Very important that we understand this, right? Now in Surah number 5, verse number 32, right? Yes.
Because when you say be careful between all the brothers,
yes.
What's Allah say when somebody like imagine how wrong the brothers are wronging, but him he doesn't want me to forgive.
Yeah.
Imagine, but yeah, I wrong him and he doesn't want me to forgive.
He doesn't want to forgive you.
Yeah, but Allah wants to forgive me.
Yes.
But him, he doesn't want me to forgive. Of course, I'm going to
Don't take your
hasanat.
So whatever it
You will
is,
give him.
right?
But if I don't want that, like, how can I say?
He's not in your position, brother. If he doesn't want to forgive you, that's his problem, not your problem.
Yes.
Then he has responsible for Allah. And then
Okay, but
your job is done basically.
Sir, but Allah, when he could, are we gonna let us like dip between like
Yes.
us? Oh, okay, how you wanna do it? Like, you wanna do my hasanat or you wanna forgive?
Yes. You will meet each other
Yeah.
after you cross the sirat.
So, yeah.
It's a hadith, right? So you will be brought together and you'll be asked, do you want to forgive each other or you still want to have all the dispute? And then we will forgive each other and we will hold hands and enter Jannah.
Fantastic.
Yes. But as I said many times, brothers, for example, if I were to go to Singapore, it's a 13 hours flight. The last thing I want to do is to get stuck at the passport checkpoint for 2-3 hours because the thing is not working, is it? So now there's no issues at the airport, right? It's not working, so you're stuck for 2-3 hours. That's the last thing you want to do because you just want to go back and rest. Same thing as how many thousand years are the Day of Judgment? 50,000 years.
For some people.
For all of us, 50,000 years.
To wait Allah coming.
No, until we enter Jannah, inshallah. For all of us, 50,000 years, right? The last thing, sorry?
He's not waiting.
No, all of us from the blow of trumpet, inshallah, until we enter Jannah is 50,000 years, right? So, the last thing that we want after to clear the hurdle is to get stuck somewhere. Jannah is just in front of us, just because you do not want to forgive others or they got issues with you. Isn't it true?
Yes.
So rather than that, that's how all of us, no matter what happened in our lives with other people, we should forgive everybody. Isn't it true? In order to get Jannah. That was why the person who was pointed out by Prophet SallAllahu, this person will enter Jannah. The Sahaba did not find any special good deeds. It's just that before he sleeps, he forgives everybody. And that's about it. So it is important that we look at this hadith with a lot of wisdom, right? In order for all of us to want to clear the hurdle quickly and enter Jannah without having any more tests from Allah before we can enter Jannah. Okay? So in Surah number 5, verse number 32, Allah said, "Ya man qatala nafsan bighayri nafsin aw fasadin fil ardi faka'annama qatala an-nasa jami'a wa man ahyaha faka'annama ahya an-nasa jami'a." If anyone killed a person, unless it is for a murder or spreading a mischief on the earth, it would be as if he killed the whole of mankind. And if anyone saved a life, it would be as if he saved the whole of mankind. Right? You heard about this before. It's a very famous verse, isn't it true? So it is important, right, that you understand this. Yes, Ibrahim.
Okay. When we say like you save like all the mankind in the
Yes.
earth, it's like man and jinn what Allah created or only man?
Men.
Of course.
But what, you don't need to analyze that much, isn't it true? Just know that you should try to save a human being or try to not to kill anybody. Right? That's it. You do not need to go into details or how many men is it? 1,000 men equal the reward. You do not know. Right? Just know about this hadith is a good thing to be cautious about. Not to hurt anybody or not to murder anybody. Because in those days of Prophet SallAllahu, there's a lot of murdering going on. Right? And so you just need to be careful. Right? The hadith, right? Who is the most bankrupt person? You heard about this?
The one who comes in the day of judgment
Yes.
with a lot of good deeds like a mountain,
Yes.
then he goes to Jannah.
And then he's what? The deeds. He has all the good deeds, right? He did all these good deeds and mountains are good deeds. Then what happened?
Then he will enter hellfire because he took money from him and he
Yeah, he's did a lot of slander, backbite, riba and all this against a group of people. So all the deeds will go to that people whom he has wronged. And if the things, let's say it went to zero, the deeds, from everything goes to zero, right? And then another group of people still not have been, what do you call it, settle the disputes and all this, then the sins will go to this person. That's why he's the most bankrupt person. So do be careful with your tongue, especially now with the social media, isn't it true? Everybody now is busy with the social media, share. It's not even true. Sometimes you just share. And you have to be careful, yeah, about things. You talk about Erdogan and all this, and all this. Just need to just shut up and be silent and just not spread things that you do not know about. As simple as that. Sometimes it's people, right, against yours. I mean, Afghan people against your minister, against this and all this. You do not even know the truth, and yet you want to spread things. So do be careful, right, against anybody. Now with the social media, right, it can spread to not just thousands, millions of people are reading your message, which perhaps is just a slander. It's not even true, right? So do be careful with social media and to share things that even about whatever it is, about Boris Johnson, about anybody else, just don't do it, right? Don't share things, okay? So this hadith is for Muslim, right? About the bankrupt person, right? The second thing, so this is about accountability, right? Remember, not Osama. What is the last verse that was revealed in the Quran? Yeah, 2A1, right? What is called? How did it begin? Arabic. Wattaqu yawman turja'una fihi ila Allah thumma tuwaffa kullu nafsin ma kasabat wa hum la yuzlamun. Right? 281. The last verse. That al-yawma just now is not the last verse. It's the last verse in dealing with do's and don'ts. Right? According to many scholars, after that, there are other verses that revealed. That last verse is this, right? Be afraid of the day when you shall be brought back to Allah. Then every person shall be paid for what he has earned, and they shall not be dealt with unjustly. Yep, it's all about accountability, isn't it true? فَمَا يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ خَيْرًا يَرَهُ وَمَا يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ شَرًّا يَرَهُ. Whoever does a good thing equal to the weight of atom shall see it. Whoever does an evil equal to the weight of atom shall see it. Right? So there's no running away from Al-Khabir, the all-aware, from the Al-Alim, the all-knower. Allah knows everything. We will be held into account. That's why one of the first things that Prophet Muhammad said is to be aware of your accountability on the day of judgment. Right? The next one, financial obligations. The sermon went on about to return the things kept with you as trust to the rightful owners. Brothers, when Prophet Muhammad went for Hijrah, why did he leave Mecca for such a long time?
Again, prosecuted, tortured.
No, but he did something very important. Even though they hated him, but he's like a banker to them. They leave all their jewelries and their good things to him, so that he's able to keep for them as a safekeeping. And he could have taken all this with him to Medina, isn't it true? Because these are the people who persecuted the Muslims. But he took all this time to return one by one to all the rightful owners. And this is very important because it's not your things. If I were to find, for example, in the mosque, right, £5, does it belong to me? No. Right? I should actually donate to the mosque, or even if with a bigger amount of money, let's say £1,000, I should announce it and all this. It doesn't. This is not your money. You didn't earn it. Even if you found a ring somewhere and all this, it's not yours. You have to be very careful because one of the first things Allah has informed us in the hadith, regarding the things that we're going to be asked. The first one is what we have done with our wealth. That means what comes in the account must be halal, what comes out must be halal. If we have, there's some narration say that if we have announced and everything after 1 year, nobody claims it, then perhaps it might be yours. Okay? Yes, Dritan.
I was saying if you find it on the street, what's the
I would donate it.
okay? But if you don't, like
Because
okay.
Dritan, risk come from who?
No, from Allah.
No, from our Rob. Isn't it true?
Yeah.
That is not our risk.
How do you know that?
That's not our risk because it doesn't belong to you. The risk that is halal is what you earn, right? Either that or given to you by your friends. Let's say I'm so nice to you, right?
Yeah.
I want to give you £100. Yes, this is halal. But so don't be afraid that you might lose this £1,000 because it is not yours.
Can you donate it to your spouse?
Sorry?
Can you donate it to your spouse?
No, yeah, your spouse be accountable on their judgment, right?
That's
Yes.
a good thing.
Yes.
Suppose you're in a state of hungry, well hungry.
Yes.
Yes, and you make the one and you go to the road, and as you go to the road, you found that money.
Yes.
You're hungry, I mean hungry, serious hungry.
You
Not
don't want
a
to
joke hungry, serious hungry. You're hungry till you feel like you're gonna pass away.
Yes.
You make the one and you go outside and find that money.
Yes.
What will you do?
Okay, Bilal, I can ask you a question also, right? There was an incident, Ibrahim, right? That in this ATM machine, right? You want to take out £20, it came out £200. So there's a long queue after that. Everybody wants to go to this ATM machine to take out the money because they know that if you take out £20, they give you £200, for example. Right? Similar to what you are saying, right? Is the money yours?
No.
That one to me.
Yeah. Yeah. So is the money yours? No, it's not yours. Right? So when it comes to doubtful things, what do you do? No, hold on. Answer me. When it comes to doubtful things, what do you do? No, doubtful things you avoid, isn't it true? The hadith is very clear about this, right? Because you may come across, if you do it, then you may be sinning, isn't it? Maybe, right? What was the example given by Prophet SallAllahu in this hadith? If you have a flock of animals, this is your property, that is your neighbor's property, for example, and there's no gate, right? So there's no fence to separate you, right? What are the chances of your sheep or goat going to you? What are the chances? Is it high or low? It's quite high, is it true? And that is it a sin for them to graze on your neighbor's plot? It is, because it's not your grass, it's not your land, right? So same thing in things that are doubtful, right? If you think that there might be a chance that this money is not halal, should you take the money? No. Brothers, as I say, right? Risk is from Allah. Allah will provide everybody according to what you think, He thinks that you should get. Remember about the story about this person, was it, I may be wrong, right? But the story is okay, it's good, right? I think it was Ali, he has a camel, right? He wanted to go into the mosque for some meetings and all this. So he gave this camel to a person to take care of this camel. And then this person took the camel and sold the camel for 2 dinar. Sold the camel for 2 dinar, right? And then Ali was taking such a long time in the mosque, and then he was thinking, okay, taking such a long time, right? I think I should give the person 2 dinar. That means your risk has already been written for you, right? In your mother's womb, isn't it true? He could have earned the 2 dinar in a halal way, because Sayyidina Ali, he would have given him the money, but instead he chose to earn that money in a haram way, right? And always remember, we have the freedom of choice to do whatever things that we want, but make sure it must be in accordance to what has been given to us in the Quran and authentic hadith. Everything that we do is accountable. Right? Questions? Yeah. So this is my answer. Right? Don't be scared that we are left starving, whatever it is, because Allah. Now, do the birds have bigger brain or do we have bigger brains?
We have bigger brain than a bird.
Yes. But the birds every morning they went out of the nest to go out and find food and come back full. Isn't it true?
Yeah.
Do they trust Allah?
Yes.
Yes. Same thing is an article which I posted to you about the squirrel eating the squirrel eating the bread. The squirrel was eating. Very cute, right? The way they eat. The squirrel wouldn't care because he's his provision, right? And he knows Allah is going to provide for him. And it's quite important to trust Allah. I know things are very difficult now, especially economic conditions, but it is all up to you and I to trust Allah. Agreed? Right? Money will always come with Allah's will. And it's very important for you to understand this. Yeah? Don't let the government or the secular society scare you. Oh, this is happening. We have all these economic difficulties. We have this artificial intelligence trying to take our lives and livelihood. Isn't it true? Nowadays is we're going to talk about this one day, about the AI. Artificial intelligence is going to take over our lives. Right?
No.
Right? No what? No, not now, of course. But we had to address this because it's all over the news now. Everybody is scared because they do not know. We discussed many times. Wallahu ghalibun ala amri. Allah has the full power and control of all His affairs. Allah has put you and me as a higher status, right? Kuntum khayra ummatin ukhrijat linnas. You are the best nations ever raised up for mankind. Yeah.
Who's trying to take over?
The robots.
The robots. Huh?
Yeah.
The way we've got away
Sorry?
Yeah, sooner or later you would have less work.
Okay, so do be careful in this, yeah, about your provisions.
But it's one thing the world they take them in life. They're gonna adopt things.
Now, next one, interest. Right? Very big issue, is it true? Especially with people living us in the Western society, right? Remember what Allah said in the Quran, right? About interest. In Surah number 2, I think in verse number 278 to 79. Surah number 2, 278 to 279. Ya ayyuhalladzina amanu taqullaha wa dharu ma baqiya minar riba in kuntum mu'minina fa illam taf'alu fa'dhanu biharbin minallahi wa rasulih wa in tubtum falakum ru'usu amwalikum la tadlimuna wa la tudlamun. O you believe, be afraid of Allah and give up what remains from riba if you really are believers, and if you do not do it, then take notice a war from Allah and His Messenger. But if you repent, you shall have your capital sums. Deal not unjustly, and you shall not be dealt with unjustly. Right? Sorry? Surah number 2, verse number 278 to 79. Right? Brothers, this is the only prohibitions that Allah said Allah will wage a war against those who deal with interest. Isn't it true? The only one. I can't remember any verses with any prohibitions that Allah said. Not even zina, not even anything else. Not even alcohol. This is very different story. So do be careful. Why is riba so bad?
So it's like you rely.
It's unjust. That's the main thing, right? Unjust and.
It's like you put your trust in this.
Yes.
And then instead of you putting trust in Allah.
Yes.
It's like you put trust in riba. Like the money
So
will come.
So unless you are obliged to do so, like you have a car, you must have a car insurance, isn't it true? Or in some countries, when you travel, you must have travel insurance.
Yeah.
Right?
Saudi.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Saudi.
Yeah.
You have to pay for insurance.
Yeah, the insurance, right? When you buy from them, right? And they're online, right?
It's, if you get a visa to travel, it comes with insurance.
Yeah. But hopefully Saudi is more Islamic, inshallah, right? The reason why we don't take life insurance, for example, is because, as the written, right? Is because, first of all, you do not know where they invest the money to. Isn't it true? They might invest in other things, right? Or you might you don't trust Allah about the outcome of your situation, right? So do be careful with this, because Shaitan always likes to tell, oh, take this because we have a security. Brothers, Allah is the only one who gives us the security, not anybody else, right? So do be careful, because it's a huge thing. What is the punishment of riba in the barzakh?
Very bad.
Man,
No, fire.
No. No.
Hammer?
No.
No, in Hammer for backbiting.
There is the person who is swimming in the river blood, isn't it true? Of red colored, and another person would throw the stones into the mouth, right? And this is just in the barzakh, not in the hellfire, right? So do be careful about this riba, right? Now, treatments of spouse, number 4. How long do we have? Okay. The sermon went on, "O people, your wives have a certain right over you, and you have a certain right over them. Treat them well and be kind to them, for they are your committed partners and committed helpers." As I said before in yesterday's talk, right? Brothers, your wives, you need to put so much respect to them. It is difficult. Those who are married, you can justify. Sometimes the wives is difficult to control, isn't it true? Afghan wives are good.
Yeah, alhamdulillah.
It's getting recorded. I see who you are.
Yeah.
It is a test. Those who are married, only those who are married, you will know. Those who are not married, saying that, oh, I want to have 3, 4 wives, I can tell you all the best. Right?
I do.
You have to have a lot of patience, right? And you yourself must act justly to your wives. Isn't it true? Your 2 or 3 wives, you must act justly, right? So do understand. It's not even though Allah allowed it in the Quran. Which surah? I think surah number 4, right? Verse number 2, right? Verse number 2. Yeah. Doesn't mean Allah allowed you should do it. Same thing as divorce, right? The divorce, even though Allah allowed us to do, because the Catholics, they don't allow people to divorce, right? They might, hold on, you must go for annulment, whatever it is, right? But it is allowed, doesn't mean that the first thing that happened, you divorce. There's a reason why marriage is part of half of Iman, isn't it true? Because it tests your patience, right? And again, this is where some cultures are not treating the woman well. Agreed? Right? Sorry to say this, right? I heard from people, not through me, right? People who said about when some women are married into a family, you got to stay with your in-laws, and a lot of things happen, right? And this is where subhanAllah culture sometimes it really destroys the deen, right? People think, oh, this is Islam. It's not. Algeria, right? Morocco.
Yeah. Algeria.
Yeah. Okay. Your culture, but these women.
Huh?
Women, okay?
So, not too bad, I'd say.
Okay. Not too bad.
He doesn't know much.
Don't say that.
So this is important, right? Regarding the to be kind to your wives, right? Many verses in the Quran was telling you and me to be to treat your wife kindly. If you are abusing your wife, would you be accountable to Allah on the day of judgment? Yes. Surely, Allah is just. He's Al-Adl. Yeah, and important for us to understand and be patient, because marriage is all about patience, and to compromise. Meaning, it's not just about man is always correct, right? That you need to compromise yourself sometimes. There's no such thing, brothers, as to finding a perfect woman and have a fairy tale ending. Fairy tale ending only happens if you go to Jannah. Agreed? Right? Other than that, there's no such thing as fairy tale ending. You will be tested again and again and again. Shaitan, right? Shaitan view disruptions of family unit as one of the most powerful weapon. That means there is a prized possession to disrupt a family. Because when you have a disruption in the family, a lot of things happen, isn't it true? Your mind cannot pray properly, your kids are affected, and a lot of things. And this is one of the greatest prized possession of shaitan. So do be careful in this. Yeah. As a rule of thumb, of course, selection of wife is so important. If you do not follow the advice of Prophet SallAllahu, then you may end up in tears. What was the hadith? A woman is chosen for 4 things: wealth, beauty, lineage, and the deen. Right? And those who do not choose the deen is a loser. We do not need to choose somebody who is Miss Albanian standard, Miss Universe, right? Standard. But you do need, of course, to have some attraction, is it true? You can't be some ugly duckling and expect not to flirt with other women. Surely, right? There must be to your taste, right? And every taste is different, right? Everybody has different tastes, right? Surely it must be of your taste, right? Because if not for your taste, then you might end up looking at other people, right? And it's quite important, right? But of course, the deen must be top of the list, right? There's silly things on the media about, oh, is it better to choose a wife with no hijab but prays and doesn't pray but no hijab, doesn't pray but wearing hijab? Complete nonsense and all this kind of thing, right? Because at the end of the day, there's a plenty of fish in the sea for you to choose. Again, before you make your selection of your wife, make sure you pray your istikhara. Very, very important, because you only leave to Allah who knows the unseen to counsel you. Yeah, whether this person or this sister is one whom you meant to spend the rest of your life, inshallah. Yeah, written, okay. Found somebody? Inshallah soon. Yeah. Okay, very important. Number 5, warning about shaitan. Right? The 7 went on, beware of shaitan. He is desperate to divert you from the worship of God. So beware of him in matters of your way of life. Let's look in Surah number 35, verse number 5 to 6. يا أيها الناس إن وعد الله حق فلا تغرنكم الحياة الدنيا ولا يغرنكم بالله الغرور إن الشيطان لكم عدو فاتخذوه عدوا إنما يدعو حزبه ليكونوا من أصحاب السعير. O mankind, the promise of Allah is true. Let not this present life deceive you, and let not the chief deceiver, the shaitan, deceive you about Allah. Verily, shaitan is an enemy to you, so treat him as your enemy. He only invites his followers that they may become companions of the blazing fire. And which verse in the Quran did Allah said that once you're in hellfire, shaitan will dissociate himself from these people? Which verse, Osama?
I don't know the first one.
No, you must know the verse before you say something.
No, I don't know the number of the verse.
Yes.
I think it's when the shaitan was وما كان لي عليكم من سلطان إلا أن دعوتكم فاستجبتم لي فلا تلوموني ولوموا أنفسكم.
Long verse, isn't it true? Yeah. Which verse? Which surah? Don't Google it. Okay, surah number 14. Yeah. Come to surah number 14. 14, verse number 22. Right? 14, 22. Yeah.
Okay. Surah Ibrahim.
Ibrahim, yeah. Your surah, right? Ibrahim.
No, I was listening.
Yes. Verse number 22, in the meaning, right? And shaitan will say when the matter has been decided, verily Allah promise of truth, which the same surah, right, just now. And I too promise you, but I betrayed you. I had no authority over you, except that I called you and you responded to me. Always remember this. Shaitan has never forced you, tie you up and all this, and wanted to kill you. don't pray. No, it's up to you. You are the one. We are the ones who did not wake up for Fajr, isn't it true? For example, right? So do not blame me, but blame yourselves. I cannot help you, nor can you help me. I deny your former act to associate me as a partner with Allah. And verily, that is a painful torment for the zalimun, for the wrongdoer. Now, this is what Shaitan will say to those people who are in the hellfire. Yeah. So do be careful about Shaitan. So how do you and me protect ourselves from Shaitan? No, but even before that, him who Allah has guided, no one can mislead them. But him whom Allah has misled, no one can guide them. So in a sense that our relationship with Allah must be good. Isn't it? That must be the first practice that we must do. Have a good relationship with Allah.
Yes.
Through your salah, right? Through your dua and all this. It's very important. So we must not be afraid of shaitan, because if Allah guides us, none can misguide us. Right? That is why in the salah is very important. All of us must do and do not leave it. So even if you wake up late for Fajr, still pray immediately.
Yes.
So if you wake up we are humans, right? Wake up at 6 o'clock. What time is sunrise? 4:40, right?
40, yeah.
My local mosque, which is your thing, right? 4:10.
4:50, my
It was good. Allah forgive us. But anyway, sorry?
Bangladesh.
Yeah, I didn't say that. You say that. Sorry?
Is there a reason why they pray? Because I mean, my Bangladesh is Pakistani, but like, they do the same thing. They pray late. Is there a reason why?
Yeah, because the Madhab Hanafi, they took sunrise. There are different forms of sunrise. They took a little bit on the higher side.
But we pray early. We are Hanafi as well. We pray early.
There are different Hanafis are different
Yeah.
different ways to do things.
I think that they make Isha earlier as well.
No, Asr. They make late Asr.
No, Asr is late.
No, Isha they make in Momos they do it at 10:20.
What?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, perhaps. I don't know
I
why.
was confused.
They shouldn't. Yeah, but anyway, let's continue. So have a good relationship with Allah. That's very important. Secondly, Osama, how to protect yourself from shaitan? Yeah, so continue to say A'udhu billahi shaitanir rajim, right? Especially when you're but especially when you're angry, is it true? When you brothers, we are angry with each other all the time for whatever reasons, right? And in the time of Prophet SallAllahu, and he promised, he said, say A'udhu billahi shaitanir rajim, and shaitan will go away, right? Very important. Yes, you can see adhan, right? What other things? Ayatul Kursi, when?
Every morning and every night.
Morning, evening, and before you sleep.
Two last ayahs of Baqarah.
2 verses of Baqarah, yes. Other things? Not for the shaitan. Yes. Right? Wudu, yes. Yeah, wudu and Ayatul Kursi, right?
And on the top of Ayatul Kursi,
Yeah, they talk about last 2 verses Al-Baqarah, right? What are the things that you forgot this? Yeah, what dua? Well, what adhkar you can say? You protect yourself from shaitan for the whole day.
Yeah, morning.
What's that? Yeah, La ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah lahul mulku wa lahul hamd wa huwa ala kulli shay'in qadir 100 times. Right? You be protected in the morning. So when you say about morning adhkar, it's always before sunrise, usually. If evening adhkar is always between Asar and Maghrib. Right? So don't be late. And of course, if you are late, Allah is merciful, of course. Yeah. But just say even if you are late, inshallah. Yeah. So these are the things that we can protect from shaitan. It's very important to protect from shaitan, right? Because that is our number one enemy, right? But I think the most important thing is still make sure your relationship with Allah is intact. Yeah, because what's the point of doing all this and you miss your prayers, isn't it true, right? Make sure your relationship with Allah is intact, then that solves everything, inshallah. Yeah, questions? Yeah. Next time, brotherhood. The sermon went, "Oh, you people, listen carefully. All the believers are brothers. You are not allowed to take the things belonging to another Muslim unless he gives it to you willingly." Right? What did Allah say in Surah number 49, verse number 10? Right? Innamal mu'minuna ikhwah. فَأَصْلِحُوا بَيْنَ أَخَوَيْكُمْ وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ لَعَلَّكُمْ تُرْحَمُونَ. Believers are nothing but brothers. So set things right between brothers and fear God so that you may find mercy. Are we allowed not to talk to each other? How many days maximum? 3 days. Now, of course, even after that, if you find that you cannot get along, just say salam, being polite. You do not need to avoid in all this. Just say salam and that's it, right?
When that person doesn't like answer to your salam.
Oh, there's a lot of your culture, right? When I say salam, they never respond to me, right? But anyway, if two brothers were to meet, who should say salam first?
The one who's coming.
Sorry?
The one who's
Younger.
In the hadith, the one who wants to be closer to Allah. Whether they respond to me or not, that's not my problem. I want to be closer to Allah. I'll do it for the sake of Allah. So I will still continue to say salam to them because Allah will knows my intentions. Isn't it true? Right? So don't be disappointed or don't be disheartened when people do not say to respond to your salam, how long you love, right? Because we discussed yesterday in our class, right? There's 6 obligations to a Muslim to each other. What are the 6 obligations? When people say salam, we must respond. It's a sin. Yes, it's the best way. So Ibrahim, say what is the best way, meaning?
Assalamu Alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Yes.
And,
So if I say to you Assalamu Alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, how must you respond? Yes, in full. Right?
Some people,
So no need. The street.
I know.
The hadith is only like that. Sorry.
I don't know if it's
No. It's your culture, is it?
I don't know. I just had to. I love Mark.
No.
Where you from, bro? Bangladesh.
Okay, so if I were to say to you Assalamu Alaikum only, how would you respond to me? You can either do the same minimum or better still, more reward, do the full. Wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Get 30, right? 10, 30. The rewards, the hadith, right? So it's good to do the full, right? It's very important to do this. So again, talk just now, right? Even the Prophet SallAllahu was in his Medina, the first sermon, spread salam. Brothers, I'm sure I don't know about you, right? Sometimes when I go out at night, especially at night and it's quite dark, I feel quite scared. But when somebody says salam to me, I feel that is a relief because from Allah. So Allah's name is As-Salam, right? The one who spread the salam. Yeah? But your question, what's the question?
Yeah, you have a lot of brother in this masjid. Yeah. If it is salam alaikum to them, they don't answer.
Yeah.
They don't answer. You're 3 years old.
But you are doing it for Allah, isn't it true?
Yeah.
Not for anybody else. So still continue to say salam. May Allah reward you. Yeah? So don't worry about all this. Right? I got a lot of ignorance, ignored salams from your culture, your people. Don't know why. So yeah. Sorry? What do you mean?
When 2 people don't get along and they see each other, there'll be like 30 people in the room, they shake hands with 29 and leave the one
So you respond.
leave one person.
That's so bad. That's so bad. Yeah. It's not allowed in Islam, no? Right? Because it's all about good manners. Right? Prophet SallAllahu has been, he said, Bu'ithu li'utammima makarimal akhlaq. That I've been sent to perfect good manners. It's about good manners, very important, right? Now, Number 7, the superiority is only in piety and submission, not because you are black, you are white, you are Afghanistan, you are Bangladesh, you are Albania, right? It doesn't matter. Which surah did Allah say this, that Allah created into nations and tribes? We discussed yesterday. Osama, what surah is this? Ya Yuhannasu inna khalaqnakum
49.
min dhakarin wa untha wa ja'alnakum shu'uban wa qabaila li ta'arafu. O mankind, we have created you from men and women and made you into nations and tribes. What's the purpose? Yeah, li ta'arafu. So you can get to know one another, right? So as it is today, for example, as we discussed yesterday, right? Bangladeshi families will never marry Pakistani families, right? For whatever reasons, again, we do not know, right? And this is all we have to be careful with this, because if your intention is like that, right, then surely you have disobeyed Allah in terms of this. But then in the next part of the verse, Allah says, "Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum," right? So everybody is equal in the eyes of Allah except for piety. Yes, Ibrahim.
Is it true or is it only me sometimes? The attention, you can see it like became reality, but sometimes bad attention or good, or sometimes good attention.
You do not know the intention.
No, I know sometimes the attention.
Intention, you can wait? Intention, yeah?
Yeah, intention.
Yeah. You can never do the intention. Remember, there was one time that somebody was captured by the Muslims, and then he took his shahada, and then he was still killed. And the Prophet was very, very absolutely upset. And because the reason he was killed was that the Sahaba was saying, but he took shahada only because he knows that, if you don't take shahada, you're going to be killed. The Prophet said, but you do not know, but you do not know what is in the heart. Right? Okay? So this is important, right? That we don't judge others. Remember before that we talked about the story of Imam Abu Hanifa. What did Imam Abu Hanifa do?
About the drunk person.
Yes, tell me.
He refused to pay the janazah.
Because?
Because he was an alcoholic.
Yes. And then?
And then I think he had a dream.
Yes.
Where I think he was in Jannah.
Who was in Jannah?
The alcoholic person.
Yeah, he wanted to enter Jannah and
then he asked his sister.
Before that, what happened in the dream?
What?
He told Abu Hanifa.
Yes. So tell Abu Hanifa in the dream. This person said only Allah judge. And then he woke up the next day and he went to the sister, right? And then what happened?
And he used to play with orphans.
Yes. So every Friday he used to take care of the orphans every Fridays. And on that basis, even though he drinks, he still would enter paradise. Of course, I'm not asking you to drink, right? But it's just a matter of fact that we don't judge others. Just because a woman or sister is not wearing hijab, I know it's not good, but it's up to us to nicely advise, isn't it true? Right? Without judging. It's quite important to, I think human beings would like to judge, isn't it true? We like to think that we are better than everybody. Always remember, some people, alhamdulillah, like Kestas to Shahada, right? Can you imagine his sins compared to all of us are very different, right? And a different level, because when he took the Shahada only about 1 or 2 weeks ago, he's like a baby, isn't it true? Whereas our sins are so many compared to him. So do not judge anybody. So it is important for us to understand this, right? So turn to Surah number 4, verse number 1 to 5. وَمَنْ أَحْسَنُ دِينًا مِمَّنْ أَسْلَمَ وَجْهَهُ لِلَّهِ وَهُوَ مُحْسِنٌ وَاتَّبَعَ مِلَّةَ إِبْرَاهِيمَ حَنِيفًا وَاتَّخَذَ اللَّهُ إِبْرَاهِيمَ خَلِيلًا. Who can be better in religion than the one who submits his face to Allah? And he is a muhsin, or a good doer, and follows the religion of Ibrahim. What is his religion, Ibrahim? In Arabic?
Islam.
Almost there. Hanif, yeah, Hanif, right? Hanif, Islam, Muslim, right? And Allah did make Ibrahim as a Khalil, or intimate friend. Yeah? Now, number 8, right? What lessons should we learn? When Prophet said, "Taraktu fikum amrani lan tadillu tamasaktum bihima kitabillahi wa sunnatin nabi." I'm leaving you two things, and you will never be led astray if you hold on to them. This is the book of Allah, the Quran, and my sunnah or my ways. And brothers, it's very important that we must completely in our acts of worship, right? Understand where the source of worship comes from. Isn't it true? Afghanistan, you guys, on the wedding day, you walk underneath the Quran, isn't it true? Yeah. To get blessings. Yeah, my culture steps on eggs, right? To get good luck, right? Eggs. Don't ask me why, right? Other people have different. Albanian, what's your bidah?
They put whiskey on the ground and then they throw it on the ground like they smash it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember once then the lady was scared. She was like, she started screaming.
Okay. Yeah. Bangladesh? So, and everybody has their own, their own ways to do things. Make sure that your ways, that means your practice of Islam, must come from the Quran and authentic hadith. Not just because your parents are doing it, that is correct, right? Not just because your grandparents are doing it is correct, right? Where did Allah say this? So let's turn to Surah number 5, right? Verse number 104 and 105. Right? 5, 104 and 105. Allah reminded us, وَإِذَا قِيلَ لَهُمْ تَعَالَوْا إِلَى مَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ وَإِلَى الرَّسُولِ قَالُوا حَسْبُنَا مَا وَجَدْنَا عَلَيْهِ آبَاءَنَا أَوَلَوْ كَانَ آبَاؤُهُمْ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ شَيْئًا وَلَا يَهْتَدُونَ. And when it is said to them, come to what Allah has revealed and unto the Messenger Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, they say, enough for us is that which we found our fathers following. Why should we change? Our fathers are doing this. And Allah added, even though their fathers had no knowledge and whatsoever, no any guidance. Next verse. يا أيها الذين آمنوا عليكم أنفسكم لا يضركم من ضل إذا اهتديتم إلى الله مرجعكم جميعا فينبئكم بما كنتم تعملون. Oh, you believe, take care of your own selves. Right? If you follow the right guidance, no hurt can come to you from those who are in error. The return of you all is to Allah, and then He will inform you about all that which you used to do. Always remember, we discussed again many times in our classes, if we commit an act of innovation, ultimately, will it lead us to the hellfire? Yes. So let's say somebody else was always in the mosque, and then always in the circle, saying Allahu, Allahu, right? And all this, right? Do they deserve to be in hellfire?
Yes. Yeah, because if they did not repent, they will go to hellfire.
Yes. Do they deserve to be in hellfire? Because even though they are worshipping Allah?
Yes.
Yes, because Allah said, Al-Yawma akmaltu lakum dinakum wa atmamtu lakum ni'mati wa raditu lakum islami dina. This day I have perfected religion, I have completed my favors upon you. Right? That means Islam was complete. If you do new things, you are implying that what Prophet has told you and me is not enough. You know better than him.
That's bitter.
And so we have to be careful with this. Yeah. So stick to the Quran and authentic hadith. Questions? Okay. Number 9. Right. Observe the pillars of Islam. The sermon went on, listen to me carefully, worship your God and offer the prescribed prayers, observe fasting in the month of Ramadan and pay the poor due, the zakat, and do hajj. If we do this only minimum, can we enter Jannah?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. From which hadith?
Then what?
There's hadith, yeah.
There was a person who said that I will do nothing more and nothing less.
Yes.
The Bedouin.
Yeah, the Bedouin who said, I will not do nothing. So this is minimum. But should we just do the minimum? Because we might have deficiency. Secondly, because of what hadith? written, you know this. In Hadith Qudsi, when Allah said, when my servant does an obligatory deeds, I will love him. When he does a voluntary deeds, I love him even more. That I'll become the eyes that he sees, ears that he hears, and hands and feet that he uses. So, in order to gain Allah's love, we do more sunnah deeds, isn't it true? Yes.
Also, if there's deficiency in obligatory prayers, your sunnah prayers will make up for them.
Make up for yes, inshallah. Right? Yes.
Sorry, you know when you say like, "Oh, become the eyes that he sees, the ears that he hears," and
Yes.
the hands that he uses, does that mean like that person provides more guidance?
Guidance. Yeah. Brothers, at the end of the day, when we are in the mosque, we are guided by Allah. Agreed?
Yes.
In this hot weather, don't you want to be at the beach? In bright, not bright. in a place that you can, relax and this, right? And it is. But alhamdulillah, we are here to seek knowledge, inshallah. And when we gather here, what is the end product when we go back, inshallah? Yes. Forgiven. Why?
Because Allah sends angels for gatherings.
Yes.
He records everyone's there.
Yes. And Allah eventually said, tell them I'm going to forgive all their sins. And amazing that we are here in the mosque. I'm sorry? It's very important, right? Even though what I said, I'm sure, right? But it's just to remind yourself it's important, right? That's why when you go to a Jummah prayer, for example, do choose, I know some of you are quite limited, right, in the mosque that you're attending. Do choose a mosque that you're able to understand and try that. That's why for me, I deliberately choose the Gush Street Mosque, for example. Amazing khutbah, right? Can understand very clearly. Usually put me into tears because it just reminds you, because even though I know the topic we're talking about, just when it reminds you, you're just in tears and you just ponder over, what the things that you did and what you should have done more and all this. It's very important to connect with the mosque. So if you have a choice of mosque, don't just go to the mosques that are nearest to you. Perhaps the mosques nearest to you are always singing songs before the Jummah prayers. I know which mosque is true, right? But other mosques are more relatable. Islam must be relatable to your life and my life in the 2023 in London, isn't it true? That's why in my culture, in Indonesia, the sermon is so boring, right? So much so that you think that Islam is another language, it's so difficult to relate. But it must be very relatable. Your life, my life, you got children, how to take care of your children, and everything that you do, it must be relatable to Islam. And that makes it so interesting. It's very current. Nothing is backward about Islam. That's why some countries, like even the secular people in Turkey, for example, right? They hate Islam, isn't it true? Right?
Yeah, the military.
Right?
The military in Turkey.
Yeah, and in your country also, of course, right? Some of them, they hate Islam because, they do not want, they think Islam is so backwards. Actually, it's the opposite, right? We are so forward thinking, yeah? So, observe the pillars of Islam in order to get, inshallah, into Jannah, right? That's about it, inshallah. Okay, last one, right? O people, no prophet or messenger will come after me, and no new faith will emerge. As it is, your government came out with a new religion, isn't it true?
UK government.
Yours.
The Willie government.
No, UK. What is it?
Church of England. Sorry, do you say this government?
Yes.
Yeah, the Church of England.
Or the LGBT.
No.
Ahmadiyya.
Ahmadiyya, isn't it true? Ahmadiyya, astaghfirullah. Ahmadiyya. Qadiani, Ghulam Ahmad from India, right? Who claimed to from Wembley?
The big mosque.
Yeah, no.
Wimbledon.
Modern, right? This, but not the mosque, the temple. That came out said that there's a new prophet, right? Whereas in sorry. Sorry.
They believe that is full of the
Yeah, of course. That's why in Singapore, for example, they're not Muslims, but it's created by the British government, right? To split the Muslim community, yeah. And on that basis, they say that this prophet is a new prophet. Whereas in this sermon, Prophet said there's no prophet or messenger, no new religion. Secondly, in the Quran, Surah number 33, verse number 40, Allah said, Prophet Muhammad Sallam is Khatam al-Nabiyin, isn't it true? Which means the seal of the prophets.
Yes.
Very clear verse in the Quran. So there should be no new prophet.
The final and the last
Sorry?
prophet.
What do you say?
You see the words of the prophets?
There's no, all people, there's no prophet or messenger who will come after me. And no new faith will emerge. Yes. Right? So this contradicts, I mean, as in the creation of this prophet called Ghulam Ahmad, who so-called received the revelations from Allah, right? It's completely contradictory to what last sermon and the verse of the Quran, last sermon, right? Yeah, so this is important that we realize this. And lastly, of course, our duty is to spread the message, right? So in today's lesson, inshallah, have I spread the message of the last sermon?
Yes.
It's an amanah, isn't it true? Of you should spread to your families about the last sermon. It's very important that we understand, right? There's a huge significance about the last sermon. I can't imagine to live at the time of the Sahaba who knew, or perhaps who felt that Prophet ﷺ was going to leave them. That's when he passed away. Nobody believed that he passed away, isn't it true? Except for Abu Bakr. The rest, Umar ibn Khattab said, hey, if anybody say that he's dead, I'm going to chop off his head, right? It's Umar ibn Khattab, right? And even Muhammad, so even everybody was in disbelief. At such a young age of 63, he passed away. But it is as it is, right? Because when Prophet was very ill. Like one of the reasons was there's this black magic, was it true? He was very ill. He was given a choice. What was the choice?
To continue living.
To continue living or to be with the prophets, companions of the prophets. Right? So he did his job because, again, Yusuf used to say, Surah An-Nasr, إِذَا جَاءَ نَصْرُ اللَّهِ وَالْفَتْحُ وَرَأَيْتَ النَّاسَ يَدْخُلُونَ فِي دِينِ اللَّهِ أَفْوَاجًا فَسَبِّحْ بِحَمْدِ رَبِّكَ وَاسْتَغْفِرْهُ إِنَّهُ كَانَ تَوَّابًا. So the people are coming to Islam in droves. Everybody enter Islam, alhamdulillah, and his job has finished, isn't it true? Yeah. Finished. Right? And perhaps it's a blessing that he left us quite early. Because can you imagine so he did Hajj only once. Can you imagine if he do Hajj the next time, again next year, then everybody think that, okay, I need to go Hajj. It's a sunnah to go twice or 3 times, right? There's always a blessing and the wisdom of Allah why he was, alhamdulillah, he was taken away at just the right time when Islam was victorious. Yeah? Any questions? Yes.
Can we recap of the Prophet's first message